What is going on at Man United?
Oh, do we have to talk about Man United?
Mental, isn't it?
I come here to get away from Man
Unbelievable.
United. Well, not a lot is going on at Man United, which is the story. The players are obviously back in preseason training. Obviously, our new signings in Mateus Cunha and Diego Leon have joined up with the squad. There's been a number of players. Now, there's been various different briefings about Manchester United recently, and you kind of got to gauge who's giving the briefing to who and what does that mean and what do they want you to think and stuff. But one of the briefings that has kind of been consistent is that Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Malacia, Garnacho have all been given extra time away from Carrington to sort out their futures because it's believed they've informed the club that they want to move on. And I'm sure Man United have probably informed the likes of Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, and Cole that, they probably want to move them on as well. So it seemed like a mutual kind of thing, but it has been interesting to see all these briefings coming out. So what do you guys make of that? When players want to leave, do you think they should be in training with the squad? Because I kind of think for a new start of a new season, if a manager's got headaches with X, Y, Z, and now them headaches aren't there, that's surely a good thing, right, for the start of the campaign. Obviously, you've got to replace them, which we haven't, which is a bad thing. But generally speaking,
I think it's appalling, their conduct. I think the individual players involved here, I think their conduct and the way that they've handled this issue is atrocious. I think the form that they've been in, the perils that Manchester United have faced, the disgraceful season that Manchester United had is by some contribution down to these players. And now they've all sort of gone, well, we want out. Like, who do you think you are? Like, also, if you really want out, and this is where I think it's so transparent what goes on with footballers. If you really want out, you can definitely get a club. Definitely. You're all good players to a degree.
And some of them just need to drop their wage.
Oh, exactly. This is it. And none of them will. Like
two in particular.
If somebody like Marcus Rashford's on what, 300, 350, something like that a week. If he were to say, I will work for £100,000 a week, he would have a queue of football clubs, big football clubs, iconic football clubs queuing up for his signature.
Even just half of his wage. You don't even have to go that low.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Low, 100 grand a week, low. I know it's mental, isn't it? But if he were to just say, I really want to leave, okay, great. You'll get a club easy. You'll get a really good club easy. But not on £350,000 a week because you're not worth anything like that. And then you've got Jadon Sancho doing the same. Like Jadon Sancho, I think he's got some front.
He's been linked with Juventus.
Chelsea has spent £5 million, 5 million hard-earned great British pounds to get away from him. That's a new low for football. Like, someone's spent money to not work with you, to not have you.
I'm sure it has happened before where a club has had to pay to kind of send a player back. But has it ever happened to like a more notable player? I don't think it ever has. That's quite embarrassing, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
And especially when you're giving the I'm free gimmick at a particular club. They've freed you.
Yeah.
No, that's the biggest issue, though, isn't it? Is getting rid of these players. I think ultimately you won't get rid of all 5 of them, and eventually there'll be 2 or 3 that actually play for Man United next season.
I don't think they'll get rid of any. Maybe Garnacho goes. Maybe Garnacho to Napoli.
He's a real talent.
I think Anthony will go, but I think he's the only one out of the 3 that went on loan that actually improved.
Anthony will only go if Manchester United are ready. First, if he's ready to sacrifice some of his wages, or if Manchester United are ready to pay some of his wages.
He's not one of those players that was put on super stupid wages, though. Because when we signed him from Ajax, he was on probably the 30.
Yeah, but
the money went to the game
he's potentially going to go to Betis.
That's true.
Like they won't have the money
next season, though. But again, I don't think Betis can afford it. But there's a few other clubs. I don't think Anthony will be there. I think Rashford will drag on to the end of the window.
And we'll end up there.
I think the season starts and he's at Man United and then leaves towards the end.
And goes
on loan.
What level of club?
Mate,
like, as an example,
if you had to guess, be honest, like gut instinct, what is the club he's at? I'm seeing Barcelona. I can't believe what they were living in.
What do you reckon? Everybody think of one. Everybody think of. Absolutely not, Adam. It's impossible. Lads, you're so.
West Ham, Everton on loan. Everton on loan.
Lads, you're so correct for what you're saying in terms of what his level should be. There is absolutely no way that Marcus Rashford is ready to leave Manchester United, talk about playing for Barcelona, and go and play for David Moyes. Like, whether he should be, I don't think he's good enough to play for Everton for the record, but whether he should be ready to play for West Ham or Everton, fine. But there is absolutely no way that man is ready.
What's a club that is at that crossroads?
He needs a massive club that may, like, I think the club have to be big
club,
but maybe
like
AC Milan, yeah, that kind of thing, that kind of PSG doesn't
afford him.
Well, I'm sorry, look, I'm someone that's defended Rashford an awful lot, and I think his legacy at Manchester United is more positive than negative, right? I think once time goes past, then we'll look back and think he did some decent things for the club, right? And off the pitch, he did some very good things. But for all those things, and I see people going, no footballer has a bad word to say about him, this, that, and the other, which is all fine and good. But no football club wants to pay a paltry £40 million for them in this market.
A paltry 40?
40 million is nothing in this market for a player.
Oh,
England's
I see what you're saying.
Like,
Sorry, yeah.
and no one wants to stomp it up. So that's telling me there's a bigger problem there, you know what I mean? And if it is wages, which I think could be a big hold up as well, because he is a very good player, then I think if the wages are holding up, it's going to come to the end of the transfer window where United either have to pay him to leave on a permanent and give him $100,000 a week for the remainder of his contract.
If he was on, say he ended up having his contract terminated by Manchester United and was completely available for free, totally for free.
I think everyone's after him.
Like, I actually don't think they are. I'm talking the top tier aren't. No, of course Everton, but I'm talking top tier clubs. Like, would Barcelona want him for free?
No.
I think Barcelona would.
I think he's a distraction.
When you look at the players they're looking at the moment, I think they're looking at left wingers. Luis Diaz is apparently staying at Liverpool.
Yeah, Nico Williams is staying.
Nico Williams staying there. So the market could move to a position where they go, we want Marcus.
Is he a left winger though? Or is he a striker?
Left forward.
Does he think he's a striker?
No, he wants to be wide.
He's better wide.
I think he thinks he's a striker.
He can play through the middle, but
he's not a striker.
Wide. He's better wide.
I think he's a strange footballer. I don't think he's a good left winger either. I think he's a bit of a strange footballer.
Do you think the injury prevented him joining Villa on a permanent?
No, I don't think he was very good at Villa. I don't think he was so overrated at Villa.
I don't think it went as well as people like to pretend.
No, I agree with that. But for periods of time, and I think in the PSG game, particularly Rashford was brilliant. But like Emery was starting him over Watkins, and he was starting him quite regularly, and then he gets this injury, and it's like.
I think there are two different questions though. Is Marcus Rashford a better option in a European game than Ollie Watkins? I know Buvey would say no. I would say yes, because I don't particularly rate Ollie Watkins that highly. But Aston Villa are an ambitious club. They're playing in Europe next year. They've got a brilliant manager. I think they want better than Watkins, but better than Rashford as well.
I think you can criticise Villa for Duran as well. They could have kept Duran. I think they could have done a lot. I think they ended up with a lone player from Man United.
Moved again. Have you seen that?
Duran's moved. Yeah, exactly. So I think Villa, you could question what they did in January as well. I think the Rashford signing actually goes down as a signing that stopped them getting back into the Champions League, slowed them down. And guess what? They brought Watkins back into the side in the final 5-6 games of the season, and their form went straight back up again. So,
do you agree with Adam's assessment on Rashford's legacy at Manchester United, that it was more good than bad? Because I'm not sure I do.
Well, Adam knows 100% more than me about Man United. From my outside perspective, even if it appears biased, I think it's more negative. More noise, average footballer, never won major titles. Not his fault. It's a wider squad issue, don't get me wrong. But did he work hard off the ball? Did he look like he wanted to be there? I can tell you so many City... Look at someone like Vincent Kompany before the big players came in. The way he applied himself. Was Rashford doing that? Was Rashford laying the groundwork for future Man United success? I don't think he was.
I do think Marcus Rashford, though, is a case of kind of like everything that's wrong with Man United over the last 10 years. Like, and I think he's kind of, the issues that we've had with him have kind of been a symptom of that. Personally, he's got to take a lot of responsibility. Of course he does. But I think a lot of it has come down to the culture at Man United. When players step out of line, and he stepped out of line a few times in the past, instead of using them as lessons for them, we kind of let people get away with it because they were more important to the team, or they're on high wages, or we want to protect the image, or we want to protect the brand and all these kind of stuff. Giving wages out, massive wages out, when players haven't really proven anything yet. Another big mistake, another part of the problems that we're at Manchester United. And there's loads of things that I could keep going through with that. But from one of the things with Ineos that I'm pleased with, and there's not many things that I'm pleased with, is they do seem to be changing that kind of not giving out huge contracts just willy-nilly anymore.
Although they're
signing
looking
players
at
for the
giving
right
Cunha
reason.
a huge deal, aren't they?
Well, he's not. He's on a similar deal.
Mbeumo.
And Mbeumo's going to get a similar deal that he would have got at Newcastle. He's not going to be any more than that.
All right.
About 150, 200 grand a week, which is still a lot of money.
No, I think Man United are ready.
It's not going to be a $250,000.
That's what.
I bet it ends up that.
You know what? You know what?
Because that was the
always
difference.
does with United.
You know what's happened?
Because he was going to Newcastle, wasn't he, to play in the Champions League and all that, and suddenly it was Man United.
These guys are like the contestants on The Apprentice, mate.
There's
They
a lot of
negotiate
players
some
that want to
oranges.
sign
And it's
Man
like
United over Newcastle, even if Newcastle had Champions League football.
You end up
I
giving
think
them
most-
free.
I don't think that. I don't know how true that is, and I'm inclined to agree with you. But I feel like you and I could be wrong.
You end up getting rinsed. Mark my words. You get rinsed by the end
I
of
reckon
August.
Brian Mbeumo's wages end up being 200, 250.
I don't think they'll be top.
We'll see.
Just from
Like
my perspective of United, kind of, they are trying to stop that culture of just giving out big contracts. And I think when you look at the salaries that the players
Will
that
we
we've signed
find
out
out?
under them,
Like, do we always get to know?
you have to wait a year later or so for the kind of
Romano always knows, doesn't he, Fabrizio?
It's weird, isn't it, that they can always just tell you your wages?
Well, most of it
Like
is all guessed,
the
right?
footballer's wages becomes
So
But
public.
for a long time, people were under the assumption that Anthony was on 250 grand a week. And then when it came out in the washing a year down the line, it was like 130.
Right.
So like, they do eventually come out, but reports. And also you get reports from like Newcastle missed out on Brian and Buemo, right? So then they feed their journalists, he's taking more money at Man United.
Yeah.
It's probably not true.
What are you thinking you'll do in terms of like Marcus Rashford leaves, all the players we've spoken about leaving? You're
I
going to
think
have
all
to
five
sign
of them
some-
will leave, but I think Rashford and Sancho will still be here towards the end of August.
But who comes in?
Or the end of the transfer.
So let's say Mbeumo ends up being a Man United player. You've got Cunha already, 2 good signings.
Mhm.
You need somebody to help Højlund out and replace Højlund.
Replace Højlund, not help him.
Right. Who?
Is that Xerxes at the top of the triangle?
I think Xerxes could be an option, but you wouldn't want him to be your first option, right?
What about Calvert-Lewin link? Moise Kean?
I think Moise Kean would be stupid to leave Fiorentina, having just settled and finally started scoring goals. But like you said earlier, I think money talks and people want to be in the Premier League. I'll keep saying it, and I'm kind of getting bored of saying it myself. Victor Osimhen's right there, man. I don't know how all these English clubs are. Maybe it's telling me something that I'm not looking
Just
at.
the wages.
But it's just so good, isn't it?
You
He's
just-
so much better than the options out there as well. I just think go and get him. I really do. But
Do you think you might sign
I wouldn't be
another
surprised if we
stopgap?
start the season with Bruno Fernandes.
Do you think you do a
Whole
stopgap? You know, like how you've done it over the years. Igalo was one that didn't work. Weghorst was one that didn't work. Ibrahimovic was one that did. Kind of, like.
That's why, like, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and you keep Højlund. It wouldn't. I'm not suggesting we do it, but that shit
so
wouldn't
bad.
shock me with the state of the maybe the finance and stuff. But I think United.
Where do you
need
draw
to-
the line? Do you go for Raheem Sterling on the wing and Vardy with him up
Jamie
front?
Vardy.
I'd
yeah.
rather Vardy than Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Of course.
which is-
By a mile.
I don't, it's crazy.
By a
What are we
mile.
talking about, lads? Man? Honestly, Vardy at Man United just got relegated with one of the worst sides we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's nearly 40 years old.
And what
What
are you
are we-
thinking
this
then?
is Man
Nathan?
United.
So
I think
what
Wembo's
needs to
done.
happen? Prioritize a signing.
striker and goalkeeper.
Calvert Lewin. No, but Osman's not,
be.
if it's Osman, of course.
Well, we're
it's
not
Osman.
getting
Can't be
Osman, are we?
But
Calvert-Lewin.
not exactly. So
It can't be.
Calvert Lewin's a free agent.
Calvert-Lewin isn't the answer to any question.
No,
just
it's not.
isn't.
It's not.
But we've just said Keane. We've said Vardy,
Keane, Vardy, or Calvert-Lewin then?
Calvert Lewin. Over those three. Over those two.
I'd go Vardy
100%.
over those.
38-year-old Vardy though.
30. Is he 38?
Yeah.
Mate, but at least he's played football. The last time, I can't remember the last time Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored a goal. I've seen him on the cover of GQ magazine recently, but I haven't seen him
Mate, you know where United messed up? Liam Delap was the one that we should have.
Didn't want
I
you
don't
though.
even know if
No,
he's
no, he went to
yeah,
Champions
Didn't
League
want
football.
you. Like,
Which, but like,
That should-
you
should
know,
have
if we
been-
would have signed Liam Delap for 30 million, like a flat fee, you don't have to negotiate. It's just sorted.
Yeah.
And then you get Cunha and Mbeumo, then suddenly you're waiting for sales to happen, and you can start filling those spots at the back. But
yeah, you had to. Do
It's
you
not
know what
done
you
that
had to do? You had to go and sign Liam Delap on one of those pre-contract things
January.
before he knows how rubbish you are. Yeah, before he sees you lose to
So
Tottenham.
we're going to win the Europa League.
Yeah, we're going to be in the Champions League.
Yeah.
yeah.